Turnip 28 is a truly unique universe. A bunch of dirty British blokes high on world-encompassing root vegetables, fighting over the most trivial things.
Oi! Remove the fort!
Hey, Nate, walk around it.
Never!
Why?
It's the principle of the thing!
But what if I don't feel like being the potato men, or the carrot cobblers, or the turnip tyrants? I haven't looked far enough in to know some of the canon factions, but that's okay, because Turnip 28 is a setting that highly encourages something amazing: creativity and self-expression. Around the time I was starting to properly consider a Turnip 28 warband, and after I'd unceremoniously decided not to use any of the miniatures I both printed from and got physically from the Forlorn Hope Kickstarter campaign I backed so long ago, I was listening to a certain series of audiobooks. For a while at my mundane job, I was listening to lit RPG books, for anime nerds basically isekai light novels but by non-Japanese authors mostly. The one series that caught my interest most and presented the inspiration for my group was about ants. The series, Chrysalis, by the author Rhino Z, was a quippy and fun series about a poor British kid with uncaring parents who is reborn as a giant monster ant in another world. So, ants! Let's take this concept and run with it. My warband of dirty people would not just be dirty, but would live for the dirt. And what, other than root vegetables, get along well with dirt? Why, cordyceps mushrooms that cause ant zombification, of course. My warband will be a bunch of mutated half-ant, half-mushroom, half-people. 3 halves. Brilliant! I can count. But of course, if we have ants, we must have a queen. Queen Ant-Oinette, to be specific. I wanted to make my leader truly worthy of leading my ragtag organization of 3 half-ant people. To start, I 3D printed a model of an English-styled queen to act as the base for my Queen Ant-Oinette. Initially, I was going to use one of the heads of the Thrykean I'd printed out in bulk for my fodder units, which will be in another video, but ended up using the head of a larger ant that was misprinted. I cut out the queen's face as carefully as I could, cutting off the crown from it and setting it aside. I affixed the decapitated ant head to the front of the queen's face with some superglue gel to make sure I had a solid fit, and replaced its missing front antenna with a printed mushroom of an appropriate length. Next, I needed to fix the hood of her dress, which was now too small to cover her new bulbous ant head. For this, I whipped together some green stuff, put it on, and molded in some quick fabric fold shapes with a silicone shaping tool. I didn't spend too much time on this, knowing I would likely just mess it up if I did. Then, once I had an appropriate hood, I needed to return to the queen her crown. This was as simple as embedding the crown into the brim of the new hood and leaving it to dry into the green stuff. To further separate my queen from any simple human queen, I felt it best to give her more ant-like features. To do this, I went again to my misprinted ant and repurposed its abdomen and 2 of its arms. With some remaining green stuff, I attached the abdomen to her rear and the 2 extra legs near her hips. These wouldn't be her main arms in the end, just some extra limbs. Speaking of her main arms, she needed those. From the same Thrykean kit I'd originally intended for her head, I got 2 different arms. For her left arm, a standard Thrykean antly arm held in a beckoning gesture. For her right, a gangly and large mantis-like arm to double down on her being a mutant being in this dirty world of Turnip 28. With the model itself fully assembled at this point, and nothing else I wanted to put on, it was time to affix her to a base. I used a 40mm standard base, covered it in sand, and then primed the entire miniature white. I didn't have black primer, but I could always dirty it down significantly later on. Now that she was primed and ready, it was time to start base coating. Using my much-used Pro Acryl Burnt Red, I painted over all of the major ant features on Queen Ant-Oinette, including her head, forearms, and abdomen. Along with this, I decided to break up the dull ivory I aimed for her dress to be by painting her pants in a more vibrant magenta. For the mushroom growing from her front antenna, I decided to go with Golden Fluid Acrylics Pyrrole Orange. Her boots got a coat of light umber, and then finally I put a coat of ivory over the whole of her main dress. The metallics on her, including her crown and the 2 leg guards she had, got colored a Pro Acryl Bronze, and the tied bow around her waist was given a faded ultramarine to contrast the warms of the majority of her color scheme. The ground around her was given a dark umber base coat and eventually dry brushed with a golden brown. Lastly, at multiple points, I made sure to highlight the upper regions of all of her antly features with some bold pyrrole red. Now to darken the model, As it stood here, it was much too bright and vivid to feel like a proper part of Turnip 28's universe. So to fix this, I went to a recent favorite, an oil wash. With a lathering of a wash from Umber Oil Paint, I coated all over the model and base, trying my best to reach the hard-to-access underskirt that would have been a lot easier to paint without being attached to the base, but that's another matter. Using a cloth I had, I wiped away a majority of the excess oil wash, while still leaving it looking ugly and grimy, which was perfect for what I wanted. I let the oil wash cure for a good few hours, before I then brought back some additional highlights and another dry brushing of a golden brown on the ground. And with that, I can safely say it's time to show off the Queen. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this little jaunt, please do drop a like and subscribe to the channel with all those algorithmically improved shenaneries. Also, keep an eye on this channel toward the end of the month as I have an Orky project in the works for Orktober. See you gits next time!